Marfoogle TV going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We got a lot to go over. So there is a huge picture that is being painted right now, and I hope that people are trying to get their basic prep going, because honestly, look at what is happening. Once you see the next 5 stories all in the same day, you're going to say, holy crap, this is what is going on. Now, this in coordination with what just happened with Iran. Of course, now they are talking about Israel and a strike against Iran. And again, we've heard it before, but now there's something to back that up. Poland intervenes as a Russian shadow fleet ship spotted near a power cable. Now, whether you believe half of this is propaganda or not, you have to understand the picture that is being painted by the world media is that the Russian shadow fleet is now hovering above the power cables, right? We already had Spain, almost all of Spain, go out. And then, of course, you had the U.S. declare that China had backup equipment in basically all of the solar inverters, or at least they found some. And these had backup cellular radios that could essentially backdoor into all of this equipment. This was right after, of course, Spain went out and said the problem was all of the solar inverters, and they don't know what happened, but they're probing into cyber. It's all connected, and all of this is about to really go south, in my opinion. And again, you can see it in the very first story here. Poland's military intervened after a ship from the Russian Shadow Fleet was seen performing suspicious maneuvers near a power cable connecting Poland with Sweden. Now, if you remember the pipeline and other events like that, it doesn't matter if the actual country does it or not. If it happens, if something gets disconnected, that is a reason for war. No matter which side you end up falling on, you can pretty much be sure that you're going to think, okay, this is a very bad event. Now, this isn't the only thing. In fact, there's 4 more stories right now, and deployments, massive deployments from Germany and Finland, that say that something is about to pop off. We're going to talk about that and much, much more on tonight's show. Stick around. We'll be right back. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? It's Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle TV. We're going to go over a lot more, so stick around. But remember, there's a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document over on our website, marfooglenews.com. You can find a full source list for every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Right at your fingertips, just go look in the description down below. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So, Dex, let's go over the next story. We have, of course, Kremlin says Russia will defend its ships with the Baltic Sea with all means possible.
Well, yeah. So just like we've got Poland trying to intervene with a ship, one of these secret ships, if you want to call it that, or however they refer to it as the Shadow Fleet, right? But these are the unsanctioned ships. Sometimes they turn their transponders off, etc. Poland was just intervening when we talked about Estonia maybe 3 or 4 nights ago, or the end of last week, where they went up against the Russian Air Force pilots because they were trying to seize a Russian ship that was coming out. So this area is getting a lot more heated, and Moscow reiterated today saying that they are going to use all means available to them to protect their ships. And it's not just their military ships, it's these merchant ships that are coming out, the shadow fleet, as the West likes to call it, but they're basically oil tankers and other things that are obviously trying to get around the sanctions and generate revenue for Russia. As well as others think, maybe dragging anchors to pull power lines. They've seen that suspicion as well. So this coupled with what Poland just did, coupled with Estonia, you can just see, as we said when the Estonia thing happened, pay attention, it's going to ramp up, and they're going to use this as a means of escalation. And both sides are jumping right in on it.
Yeah, Russia is the second largest exporter of oil right now, and this is something where they're not taking it lightly. This is something where, they're going to use different events that happen, like the Estonia event, and they're going to literally use this to try to drive some sort of movement. Or you could look at it the other way, and you could say that NATO is pushing them into starting a war. Many people believe that NATO is trying to push for a war because there is some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for NATO that they want this to happen. Whichever way you look at it, it looks like there is definitely a picture that is being painted by Europe, by NATO, and by the world. I stick to my theory that this is going to happen, and you're going to have NATO versus Russia. You're going to have the U.S. versus China, Taiwan. You're going to have the Japan, Australia. You're going to have the Trilateral Alliance. Everybody is going to be up against China. Well, of course, NATO deals with Russia. And of course, the U.S. will be involved with the NATO versus Russia, and in Europe and some of those allies will even be involved with the China versus Taiwan. They're splitting up our military. It is the only way they can do it. And if you've heard the last week of news with the Golden Dome news, the Golden Dome is going to be a be-all, end-all kind of defense system that will be able to catch missiles, hypersonics, at any stage of takeoff, landing, to target, everything. So if you think about it from an adversary's point of view, if by 2028 is what is being said by the president, that we are going to have a system that's untouchable, that is going to literally throw out the balance of MAD, or mutually assured destruction, then of course somebody's going to take action and try to do something before then, which perfectly lines up with the 2025 through 2027 timeline that everybody has been saying, including Pentagon officials, Mike Minahan, who's in charge of military cargo, even a lot of people's statements that have said around 2027 is when they expect war with China. So now you have North Korea, South Korea, you have, of course, Russia and Iran, you have Venezuela and Guyana, you have, of course, China and Taiwan, and you even have India and Pakistan that just got thrown into the mix. All of these things are happening all at once. Germany deploys troops to the NATO's eastern flank. So you have massive deployments. And the video started circulating actually way earlier than any article. Germany was sending all sorts of stuff to their border. So the Bundeswehr has sent a new armored brigade, 45, to Lithuania, Germany's first permanent foreign troop deployment since World War II. Again, this is one of the Bundeswehr's most ambitious projects taking shape, the deployment of almost 5,000 German soldiers in Lithuania. On April 1st, the new Panzer Brigade 45, or Armored Brigade 45, was officially put into service in the capital Vilnius. It forms the core of a combat unit with Germany hopes to secure NATO's eastern flanks at the request of Lithuania. You have 5,000 German soldiers and a whole brigade of tanks that are already in place. They have dragon's teeth on their borders, for God's sakes. This literally looks like World War III over in European borders. You have everything. And you've seen this for months and months and months, and in years actually, but months you've seen that they have been preparing their borders. So this is something that people really have to pay attention to. This is a massive, massive, massive update. Again, and we're going to talk about even a bigger one with Finland here in a second. But before we move on, I do want to remind you, one of the biggest threats towards us here in the United States is an EMP strike. And that is because it does not take direct lives in itself, but it will take all of our infrastructure out. One EMP in the middle of our country could literally take out 90% of our population. And that is because it would immediately take out water infrastructure. Water is the key point behind all of that. Again, that is why we tell you to have food and water, and this is why you should stock up on those things. Now, again, with this being said, this is a device that can actually be wired into your cars, trucks, motorcycles, boats, pretty much anything that runs, including your generators in your homes, and it will protect it against not only an EMP strike, but a Carrington-level event from the sun. Any solar event that comes our way, this is meant to protect against that as well. This is Keystone military tested. It's used by agencies like DHS, DOD, and of course the DEMSA team. They're all using the same technology and the same company. So again, with this being said, make sure to go check this out, because not only right now are you getting our discount, we finally, I literally wondered, I'm like, how is this Liberty sale still going? So at first, this was only for us. Just so you guys know this, we did a contest where we gave away 5 EMP shields and one person got $1,000 at griddown.com. But now this is open to the public. So what happened is so many people wrote that they waited for a long time, that this actually made them, able to get a device, that they ended up opening this up to everybody. So the reason why there's still this Liberty sale where you'll get $50 off from us, the public doesn't get that. They don't get the $50 from us. They just get the Liberty sale. So with this, you get $20 off on one, $60 on two. And that means $100 from us, 50 and 50 plus 60, and $200 from them on 4, and $200 from us on 4. So again, that's $400 off on 4 shields. That's incredible. So again, make sure to use that. I literally wondered myself, I'm like, did they forget that they were running it for us? Because this was just for us. And now it's for the public. It's been expanded. So hopefully, as long as it's going for the public, we can take advantage of this. Go to marfoogle.com/EMP and make sure to use the code MARF. You're going to get ours on top of theirs. The public does not get that without that code. All right. And then that's marfoogle.com/EMP. All right. And then Dex, Finland, preparing for the worst as Russia expands military presence near border.
Yeah, so we've been covering the buildup of troops on the border there on Russia's side. So Finland has said it expects Russia to further build up those troops, especially as the war ends in Ukraine, or if it ends in Ukraine, as they move troops up into their area. One of the heads of the strategy of the Finnish Defense Forces, General Sami Nurmi, said the military is following the maneuvering very closely that Moscow is doing, and that it's their job as part of the NATO alliance to prepare for the worst. So the Finnish border guards announced on Wednesday that it completed the first 22 miles of a planned 2,000-kilometer fence across its eastern border with Russia, which has been closed now for quite some time. So the fence also uses cameras and sensors to distinguish people and animals that are crossing through. And of course, we got the satellite images. They talk about that, which we've already covered, which shows the massive amount of military infrastructure near the border that's being built up. Everything from military vehicles to renovations, fighter jets, shelters, construction, and all that area along the border on Russia's side.
And just to correct, because there's not 2,000 miles of border, 200. He added a zero there. It's 200 kilometers of border.
200 kilometers. Sorry.
That's all right. You always make sure that you correct my speak ups. And then, yeah. So how many miles is that, Dex? 200 kilometers. That's 100 and something miles. That's a huge fence. That's their entire border. They're building this fence thing. I don't know what that transitions to, but it's 35 kilometers is 22 miles. So that's probably 100, I'm guessing 180 mile long fence that they're building. And this is on top of course, they've got, what do you call it? They've got dragon's teeth in other parts. They have, of course, trenches. They have almost 650 miles of trenches. So does Russia on their side. I mean, this is literally, if you look at this from satellite, they're preparing for World War III. There's no ands, ifs, and buts about it. Like they're going to do all of this and then nothing. What was that?
The total length of mileage in miles that they have for the border with Russia is 835. And yeah, the length of that is 124. That 200-kilometer is 124 miles. But yeah, they have 835 miles. Now imagine the very further
That's
north you
crazy.
go, the less likely it is to be crossed versus the southern areas where there's more population and better weather.
Yeah, and there's places where tanks. There was another article that talked about how most of their border is not crossable by tanks or by anything else. So what this one was talking about is how they're focusing on only the areas that they really have to worry about. So it really narrowed it down to where there was actually a potential for anybody to cross over. So that makes sense. So about 125 miles of it is where they believe that they could be crossed. So yeah, it's very obvious what they're painting is that this is just one step closer to what we've known was going to happen for a long time. This is going to be a war with NATO and Russia. There's no everybody thinks that, the president or somebody else is going to step in and go, "Hey, let's make a deal," and it's going to happen. In every instance, he is very good at what he does. The president actually may get some sort of peace deals going in some parts of the world, but not all. And the thing that I keep seeing is every single time that there is hope for a peace deal, it always falls apart because you have multiple places all over the world. If you think that the Middle East is going to basically say, "Oh yeah, we want peace," when they're so tightly connected with the goals of Russia and China and South Korea and North Korea, they're all connected. They all have the same overall goal. They want the U.S. to step down, and they want it basically to take that place. They want the U.S. out of their way. And that is very, very clear. They want at least the U.S. to stop. In some cases, they want the U.S. to stop being in the middle of whatever they're doing, right? And in some cases, what they're doing is really, really horrible. So everybody can pray that the president can come up with everybody peace deal. But I think for the president to come up with a peace deal, say for the Middle East, that Middle East peace deal will also have to include Russia and Ukraine. It will have to include North Korea and South Korea and China and Taiwan. Now that we could see a miracle, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And then we have Trump stuns South Africa's Ramaphosa plays Kill the Boer clip in the Oval Office and destroys an NBC reporter. Dex, go over this one.
Okay, so yeah, the president of South Africa is in the White House coming to negotiate, in his mind, mostly tariffs, but obviously he's not dumb. He realizes there's this issue going on where our nation has been accepting a lot of people coming in for asylum from the farming community there, claiming that they're being targeted, and that's a big issue. Well, and it's one that doesn't seem to be covered by the media, doesn't seem to be covered even by the politicians there, except there are some politicians that are part of it. And so he, one of the reporters, asked about it, and it, they asked the president what it would take for him to be convinced that there's no problem going on there. And instead of Trump answering, the president of South Africa said, "I'll answer for him." And he goes, "He just needs to hear from us what's really going on." And went on to blah blah blah. And then Trump immediately said, "No, I'm gonna speak to the answer to that." And he says, "Dim the lights." And he played the video, montage video of all of this horrific stuff happening in South Africa, or at least the chants and the stadiums full of 100,000 people chanting to do all these bad things, and put it right there in front of the media and in front of the other president, and basically forced him to respond.
They couldn't
to it,
say
to
anything.
which, no, yeah, and they were, it was a Trump move for sure. Then immediately when this is the dumbest part, the CBS reporter immediately when it was over said, "Can you tell us about the plane that Qatar is giving you?" And that's when he went off on that reporter. He's like, "We just talked about this critical thing, and you're going to change the subject to a guitar and an
yeah, he
airplane?"
says, "What are you talking about? You ought to just get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet?" We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. Side, right? So, so in this case, this is something that's been super taboo. Not only is it censored by everybody is censoring this subject. You know, it's like when you're talking about this, I told you guys I have a friend from South Africa, and he says that the people that he still has there are it's horrendous. I mean, it is absolutely horrible, especially if you are not the right shade. Now, as far as this goes, this gentleman goes in front of thousands and thousands of people, and he is cheered on, and they're cheering these things. And now he just played this clip in the freaking White House, and you should see him. He's like rummaging in his seat. He's not comfortable, and I'm sure a lot of people absolutely loved this and thought it was a win. But what did you
Well,
guys think? Let me know in the comments down below.
and their answer to it was they need economic prosperity, so they want America to invest in them, because if they have more money and opportunity, then people aren't in poverty. People in poverty obviously are more crime ridden, and they say their country is full of crime. And they also want our technology, so they want our technology to help them. uh, in roundabout words, I took it as they want our technology to help them police and raise up a level of security in their country. So basically, they're coming here for a handout, and because they can't solve the problem themselves.
Yeah, so again, with everything that's going on over there, there's a lot of really horrible events, but there's public calls to take out certain people, and that should be addressed. Out of all the times, though, it's like, out of all the times that we intervene, it's like sometimes there's things that should be intervened, and they're just basically not talked about whatsoever. They're so horrible that no one talks about them. And then China accuses U.S. of turning space into a war zone. So this is pretty grand, right? So China, who already put their first 3 rockets up with their space station, which they even declared was going to be absolutely a huge part of their offense and defense, that they said it was going to be a part of their, military assets. They first, before anybody publicly put anything up there, then says that we are turning space into a war zone with the Golden Dome. So again, it's pretty hypocritical. China is concerned by President Donald's proposal for the new U.S. missile defense system called the Golden Dome, which is designed to protect against adversarial attacks on America. Golden Dome is, quote, a strong offensive nature and violates the principle of peaceful use in the Outer Space Treaty, Chinese Foreign Minister Mao Ning said. It said the project will heighten the risk of turning space into a war zone and creating a space arms race, and shake the international security and arms control system. What is even crazier is I see so many media companies going after this and saying that it is absolutely true. They're literally quoting China without quoting China. They're basically writing the same thing, that the Golden Dome is going to put all of this out of whack, and that that we're destroying this system of peace in space, as if that China and Russia haven't done this exact same thing. All of them have. I don't think that there's any innocent parties in this. I think all 3 have weaponized space. I mean, it's pretty common sense. You've got all of them doing their Black Ops projects. They have all of their secret projects. You think that they're not putting weapons in space? I mean, it's just kind of stupid. But yeah, Dex, I thought this was pretty grand. China saying that we're putting ourselves first, and we're obsessed, and pursuing absolute security violates the principle and diminishes the security for all, and undermines the global strategic balance and stability. I guess they're right. At one point, it's gonna imbalance everything.
It's absolutely clear that we have the lead in space. We have the lead in military in space, and that's considered a threat to Russia and China specifically. I think China, though, don't let these words fool you. They have invested heavily. They've got their space station now, which we know is going to be militarized, and they have been investing heavily in their own military capabilities in space. Everything from satellite detections to things that can eliminate or detect and track all of our stealth equipment, basically virtually making the stealth like not even an issue anymore. So, it makes a lot of sense that they wouldn't like the fact that we're advancing space weaponization, but they're doing it too,
What were we
and they're
supposed to
definitely behind
do?
us. Yeah, exactly.
If we don't
Sit
have
back.
stealth jets anymore, what are we supposed to do? They can spot our exhaust from our F-35 stealth jets. How long before they can spot all of our jets? And we don't have air superiority anymore. So we would have to do something. I mean, they should have expected this. But we don't.
And they're investing heavily too in their nuclear system, right? They want to have nuclear dominance and be a world power. Well, if that gets rendered useless because there is no mutually assured destruction, then America stands above everyone else, and they don't want that. They want to have an equal playing field.
Yeah, exactly. Jerry Shirts, thank you so much for the support this week. And Stephen McMahon, Jillian Marie Gems. I just want to say thank you to Rochelle Cooley. Yesterday, you actually were the top supporter. I missed the memberships you gifted. So thank you so much, Rochelle Cooley. Thank you, Darren, for subscribing. Thank you, Lisa Douglas this week. Carol, Callie, Electros, Clayton, thank you. Sweatinum Industries, Catherine Grudrow, thank you. April Fierce Family, G2G, Bound by Mountains. And of course, thank you everybody in chat. Susan Loves Huskies. Louis Strongarm. We've got Minnesota Jer. Nice. It says Star Wars. Exactly. Watchman 1100. Let's see here. Teresa Browning. Doctor 1111. Let's see here. Kathy Paina. Now we've got Gracia. We've got Taryn. Thank you. Bill. Thank you. I appreciate that. Jammer1. Thank you, Bobby. Bobby Sue, thank you so much for being a mod tonight, and I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you, every mod that shows up to all of the shows. And then Guy and Ghosts and Cars, thank you guys. I'm glad everybody made it tonight. All right. And then warnings of major solar storm to cause blackouts on Earth. So highly recommend following people like Wages and other people covering all of this, because right now, yet again, we're in that peak still. And now they say that a massive solar storm is heading towards Earth, threatening to disrupt communications, navigation systems, and power grids around the world. And funny timing, too, if you think about everything that went on with Spain and of course, with France. And then, of course, all of the things that we just heard about the Chinese government putting backdoors into things. Now all of a sudden we have the other end of the spectrum, which is solar. Again, solar flares are intense bursts of radiation that come from sunspots, darker, cooler areas of the sun's surface, and are among the most powerful explosions in solar systems. This X2.7 flare, released on May 14th, came from the sun's most active region, which is now rotating directly towards Earth. The flare has already caused radio blackouts across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, along with some power degradation in the eastern U.S. NASA warned that more is to come, saying the burst could continue to impact radio communications, electrical power grids, navigation signals, and pose risks to spacecraft and astronauts. So on the... Again, I actually have had in the last few days, I have had total power surges happen to my house. I don't know if, Dex, have you had any of these lately? It was a perfectly beautiful day out. There was no storm. We just had a huge power surge hit our house, and everything just flickered, went off, back on. But it happened like at least twice in one day. And it's like you see, and then you go and check, and you go, holy crap, there's all of this solar stuff happening. And it's just little blinks, and luckily we have, luckily these aren't the big ones, luckily these are, a lot of them are the smaller ones. But it's like, I believe a lot of that is related to what is going on with our solar system. Again, NASA warned that more is to come, saying the burst could continue to impact radio communications. Now, I don't believe anything out of NASA's mouth, but I do believe, people like Wages that are following this and actually do know what they're talking about. Again, with stuff like this, it's like, this is a natural event that could totally put us back to the Stone Age. And once again, all of the governments of the world, they usually try to go for the bottom line or don't fix things until they're broken. And usually it puts us into a disadvantage or into a vulnerable spot. So I hope that people do end up taking advice and getting protection against this kind of stuff. Go get yourself something like an EMP shield on your home, because then you'll be set. But again, with stuff like this, you got to pay attention to it, because honestly, not many people even follow it. Not many people even know where to follow it. So go check out Wages over on marfooglenews.com/friends. Dex, go ahead.
Yeah, they said the UK's Met Office, which I guess you could, if you don't like NASA, you can listen to them. They said that they've reported now up to 5 sunspot regions are currently visible now on the side that's facing us. So, with new magnetically active region rotating into view over the southeastern solar horizon. They also were saying, I believe, even your state, amongst others, we're going to have increased northern lights. So Alaska, obviously, but Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Maine, including parts of New York too.
Yeah, and as far as that's worst case scenario. Worst case scenario would we have our grid go down. I hope that never happens in our lifetime. But from what the experts say, they say that this is something that is overdue. So again, I hope that we don't have a Carrington level event anytime soon. And then before we move on, make sure to go check out Jase if you haven't already. This is a great way to get yourself antibiotics in a kit discreetly to your door. And all you have to do is a quick appointment through your phone, your tablet, or your cell phone, again, through on the comfort of your couch, and get a kit of all of the most commonly prescribed antibiotics, again, right to your door. So go over and check it out. You can also add on things like albuterol and other things on that add-on list. So go check what is there that might be of use to you. Again, that is a handy kit, and you're talking to a board-certified doctor, so there are a lot of opportunities there. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jase and make sure to use the code MARF. Not only are you helping independent media, you are getting a huge discount, and you, again, are getting prepared. Go to marfooglenews.com/Jase and make sure to use the code MARF. Also, check out Jase Daily, where you can get up to a year of your extended supply of your prescription meds. Whether you like being hooked on them or not, there's a lot of people that have regular meds they are dependent on. If the power goes out or the lights are out or you don't have a hospital or ER to go to, that is a huge deal, being able to have that. That way you will have a year of your supply after anything goes down. marfooglenews.com/Jase. All right. Hey, thank you for joining as a member, Scenic Adventures. I appreciate that. And then thank you, BFM. Thank you for being a member for 2 months. Says, let's get some new joins tonight. Hey, thank you, BFM. I appreciate that. Universal Ranger, thank you for subscribing. And Mama Sean, thank you. Bubba, thank you. I appreciate that. Stealth Mode, thank you for becoming a member. Appreciate that. I think you rejoined. Junior SEAL Team, thank you for subscribing. Neil Nelson, thank you as well. Thank you, Wally. Thank you, See Here Think. And Trusted Source, thank you for hitting that anniversary. All right, and then U.S. intelligence suggests Israel plans to attack Iran's nuclear sites. Dex, do you want to introduce this? And
yeah, certainly. Look, they've been planning to do this for a while. I think the intelligence coming out now is sort of recognizing the fact that we tried to hold them back and not do this attack a couple weeks ago, and then now it looks more like that was under the guise of, hey, we want to get this negotiation started, we want to see if we can bring about peace and an end to their nuclear ambitions without having to do this. And I think the writing is sort of on the wall, especially with what the Ayatollah said yesterday, and as we reported last night, that they see no chance of these talks working out. So you couple all that together, Israel has just been itching to launch. They've been sitting there waiting to use their F-35s, waiting to use all their advanced technology, their own, as well as all the stuff they've bought from us to go in and attack. And I know that the U.S. has also said, hey, if a negotiation can't come about, then we're not going to let them have nuclear capabilities. So we are willing to go in there. And so that's why we've got aircraft carriers there. That's why we've got all the bombers loaded up at Diego Garcia. So none of that, nobody went home. Everybody's still there. And I think what we're seeing here now is sort of and maybe this is just part of the negotiation tactic, is to release some of this information, but we're at the final stretch of whether or not these negotiations are going to be fruitful. Like, they can't keep stringing it on. If they have another, let's wait 2 weeks, or let's wait another week, or let's meet in, hey, maybe we can go to the Vatican and meet. If it's good enough for Putin, it's good enough for us, right? Not that they would want to go to the Vatican, but I'm just saying, if
Do you
they just
guys
keep
know that
stringing it
good
along,
ice
it's
cream
going to be
shop?
over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that nice ice cream shop over on 4th Avenue. They got great sprinkles. Yeah, President Trump, let's go get some ice cream. Oh, wait, that was Biden that liked to do that. Well, there's a good coffee place over on 6th. Oh, wait, there's that meatball sandwich place over on 8th. Can we go there next week? Gosh, the 8 weeks in a row, we've found some really great restaurants, haven't we? Guys, can we just hold hands and walk along the water? I mean, honestly, we're not trying to stall or anything. No, not at all. Do you like that? You like that voice? That's the Ayatollah, the supreme leader.
Sounds just like him. I thought he took over the show.
Dude, isn't that crazy? Like, oh my God, they cyber hacked the show. Oh yeah, I do a meatball sandwich. Just jam it in his mouth. Anyways, yeah. So, and I can envision it, and I'll show you guys. I'll show you the Ayatollah is a big meatball sandwich fan. But yeah, this is serious news.
Trump got what he wanted. He got the deals started with the Arab nations. The Arab nations, which is what the Sunni faction, which is different than the Shia faction, which is Iran, have always been at odds with one another. Even though, we've talked about how there's trade between them, there's been some cooperation with Iran and Saudi Arabia in the past. I mean, look, they got to eat, so they got to get, food from the breadbasket, so to speak, of Iran. But they've always wanted defense. They've always wanted somebody to protect them militarily, whether it be equipment or people, against Iran. And even though they may try to improve relations, they still want that. And that deal has sort of gone through. We saw them roll out the red carpet, parade the horses. All of the Arab nations were just in love with Trump and are willing to spend trillions of dollars here in the U.S. to foster this great relationship, which means great security and protection for them. So he got what he wanted. He got that part. That check mark is done. And as much as you might have thought China was swooping in to save Saudi Arabia back when Biden was in power, you got to remember Saudi's going to be a little hesitant on that deal, because we know for a fact China's backed Iran. China and Iran are allies as much as China and Russia are allies. So that's if you're Saudi, you want to pick the opposite side if you're looking for protection, than to think that China is going to protect you when they're also protecting Iran, and that may be your enemy. So that deal's done. So now what does that leave? That leaves either Iran plays ball or it's game on.
Yeah, and as far as everything that's going to, play out over the next few days, make sure to tune in. Especially, it is now, you've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all of these days. Highly recommend. Make sure to hit the all notifications bell, because if you want to know if we're live, automatically YouTube ends up setting it at some. So if you click subscribe to a channel, I'm pretty sure you're saying, hey, I want to see this content. Don't let them decide which ones you see and which ones you don't, especially if they don't like somebody. You might just not see them at all. And that's basically like them saying, like, no, you didn't press subscribe. Sorry. No, you just kind of clicked on a button. It didn't do anything. Okay, thanks. So if you do, click that bell, because that makes it very hard for them on the back end to say you don't want to see this content. And that's not just for me, for everybody you watch. Make sure to hit that notification bell to all, not some, or whenever they feel like it. So again, click that to all. And then if you haven't already, make sure to get our notifications as well. You can go over to marfooglenews.com and then just click sign up for notifications. You'll get notifications directly from us through your browser. You can also get it through Android. So again, that will give you a notification right when we go live, no matter what time. If it's 3 a.m, it will give you a notification. So that's only for when we go live, so you're not going to get a bunch of junk. All right. And then Steven Semendal, thank you so much. Gwen Fox, thank you again. BFM, thank you. Thank you for being a member for 2 months. And then Scenic Adventure, top supporter tonight, but also Rochelle Cooley. We missed you last night, so we'll get you tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Dex. I appreciate your service tonight.
Much love. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro, it's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.